Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. This is The Amateur, where we're here just to talk life, hobbies, politics, ideologies, what have you. And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about double standards and hypocrisy. And for this, I don't think this is a conversation that we're really ready to have as a society because we don't know what a woman is, probably don't know what a man is, and so it's like, what are we even talking about? But I think it's something that we need to have discussed anyway. And what I will say with this is that I think we need to talk about whether something is actually a double standard or whether it's an actual recognition of the differences between the sexes. And so what I'll start off with saying as far as what is commonly defined as a double standard is a rule or principle which is unfairly applied in different ways to different people or groups. Wikipedia further says a double standard is the application of different sets of principles for situations that are in principle the same. It is often used to describe treatment whereby one group is given more latitude than the other. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go through, react to this video, and the video is titled Double Standards in Society That Men Face. Number 3 is, so I guess is the third one of the series, but we're just going to react to it and we're going to determine if it's a double standard or if it's an actual recognition of the differences between men and women. And one example that I will give before even starting the video is just like, for example, a man who is single in his 40s with 0 kids is going to be looked at differently than a woman who is single and with no kids in her 40s. And why is that? Like, it's basically the same, but the difference is the sexes. And the reason is because of the sex. That's the difference. Because unfortunately, unlike men, women have a limiting factor for for being a mother or for carrying children. I think as at age 35, most pregnancies become geriatric, meaning that it's going to be exponentially more difficult for a woman to carry a child to full term, starting at age 35. As well as with the fact that, again, most women start reaching menopause around age 50 and up. And so, again, a woman who's single with 0 kids at 40s is going to be looked at differently because their deciding factors and the deciding points between men and women are just different. Like, men, I think the oldest person to have ever fathered or sired a child, a man, was like 107 supposedly. But like, men can still continue to sire children even up to their 80s and 90s as long as they're not infertile, as long as they're not shooting blanks. And so they don't have the same family deciding factors to consider than women do if they want to have their own natural children, which is, again, like, some women can claim and say that they don't want that, and that's completely up to them and their decision-making processes. But from a societal perspective, when you're talking about family and starting a life, or starting a life with somebody, especially if there is a man, which most men want kids. Most men want kids. I might just be saying that. Don't listen to me. I might just be saying that. But again, so like, that's not a double standard though. That's an actual recognition of the differences between men and women. And so a man who is single, which is a good thing if he's never had kids at 40, meaning he hasn't knocked anyone up, he was more responsible with his actions, didn't have to pay child support, other stuff, is saving his money for himself. For a man, that's fine and dandy. For a woman, it's like, well, find you a man who doesn't also want kids. Or natural kids, or is willing to do adopt, I guess, or other things, and that category just tends to pull down. So again, if that's, and a woman can say that that's not her, maybe her desire is to be single without kids and just be that rich auntie or whatever. That's her business, her prerogative. But like, again, it's from at least from my perspective, that's not a double standard. It's just we recognizing that men and women are different, and so the deciding factors are going to need to be different, and that's just reality. But without much further ado, we'll go ahead and get into this video.
Checking guys we invite over from Hinge that say they're 6 foot.
Okay, so for this, they're saying the women are checking about height because they like tall men, and men are saying they're checking weight. So is it a double standard? I would say no. I would say that your standard is your own standard, and if that's going to be your standard, that's going to be your standard. Does that make sense? So essentially, it's like if women want to make height one of their requirements, which I think is kind of stupid. It's kind of stupid. I think my minimum height requirement is 5'6". Just be 5'6". I know, and again, I'm saying it's stupid, and yet I'm saying my own height requirement. Leave me alone. Anyway, I think mine is 5'6". I think I just need you to be as tall as my dad. Just be as tall as my dad. That's all I ask. My dad's not that tall. And that's okay. So 5'6". I'm 5'4". I'm like average height. I'm average height. Anywho, so I don't think that's a double standard. If you're going to have a, I mean, it kind of is. No. I think I rescind that statement. Because your weight is something that you can change, and your height isn't, which is unfortunate for very short men. Like, I get that if women want that as a requirement because it's like almost like a primal thing. Typically, the taller you are, the stronger you are, the more athletic you are in general. So, like, you're better at hunting and all that other stuff. But nowadays, yeah. So I rescind that statement with more thought. I do think that is a double standard as far as with, if men want to have a weight requirement, which it's good to an extent as far as with, maybe it's just probably, even if it's like a BMI thing. But no, you can change your weight, whether you want to or not is like a completely other thing. And if you don't want to, that's on you. That's not like a dig or anything, but yeah. Okay, next video.
I hate being a man because people constantly make fun of how big your dick is. Os. I hate being a man because people constantly make fun of your height. Os. I hate being a man because of double standards for body positivity. If you make fun of a woman's weight, it's sexist. If you make fun of a man's weight, it's normal. Os. I hate being a man because if you don't have a six-pack, if you're not 6'6", and if you don't make six figures, you're considered unsuccessful and unattractive. Os.
Okay, so there was a lot that went on in this section. Some of them were double standards. Some of them I don't think as much, especially when we're talking about dating requirements or dating preferences. And men will speak on this themselves, but it's just kind of like, we're talking about weight when it comes to success. Women don't necessarily care about that, it would seem, as long as you have enough money. I mean, you look at freaking Rick Ross, you look at, what's his face, DJ Khaled. They're a little bit hefty men, but they don't seem to have trouble with women. Whereas I think with someone like Lizzo, who will still get, Lizzo's a little bit different because she claims that she's about body positivity and loving herself, but she also cries if she gets talked about her weight. But the point is, though, that she still gets talked about for her weight. I mean, some men do like big women, and that's just their preference or whatever. But like, the difference is, again, it's like, the difference is, though, that she doesn't seem to be, I don't know, I would say she's unsuccessful, but I'm pretty sure DJ Khaled is married. I don't think Rick Ross, and those are only really big guys I know. I don't really pay attention to pop culture, so like, if there's more big people, big men that are still married or unmarried or considered unsuccessful or don't have women like throwing themselves at them, then it's like whatever. But I mean, Lizzo, I'm pretty sure she has men throwing themselves at her too, but again, more people will comment on her weight than her success or her music career in the music industry. So is that a double standard? I don't think so. But I would go back to, again, like the dating requirements. Let me see if I can't go back to the video. Yeah, so there is a double standard, though, for body positivity if they're going to talk about accepting all bodies. But I would also say that it's been mainly only women that care, if that makes any sense. Like, if men haven't been fat men, unfit men, everyone to call it, the men who aren't the ideal body types, aren't going out on a crusade saying you have to accept me for who I am. Most of them are like, yeah, I guess I need to change to be what's more desirable. So you'll have those fitness motivation groups and whatnot. Whereas women are the ones that are saying, accept me for who I am and body positivity and stop making fun of me and stop shaming me, yada yada yada. So it's just like, I don't know. I'm not convinced that that's a double standard, because I don't think women aren't really talking about men in that aspect. If for the body positivity women that are like streaming that, they're not really talking about men, they're really talking about women. So I don't think it was like it could be if they were trying to include all people and all body types, but I don't think that they are. And the other thing, what about the 6-pack, 6 figures? You're unsuccessful and unattractive. And so again, like that's the differences when it comes to men and women in dating. And you'll look at this, at least in history, before feminism came and screwed everything up. Like, that's kind of what you needed. You know, the man needed to be able to, and I wouldn't say necessarily about the looks though. Obesity was less of an issue back in the day than it is now. So, But, the more successful you were as a man meant the more that you could provide for the woman. And especially if women weren't the ones that were going out and trying to make money and be the breadwinners, then that was something that they considered. And that wasn't a consideration of men towards women. Like, men didn't care if the woman had degrees. Men didn't care whether what kind of job that the woman had, because the expectation was that she was at home taking care of family and taking care of the house and taking care of the kids. And so
they provide for us, and we must obey them because they are our masters.
The kids, and so those considerations were different because they had different purposes. And so it wasn't necessarily, that's not necessarily a double standard. It's just like a recognition of where men and women can best optimize a family. So, disagree with that one, but I've spent much too long on this, and we'll go ahead with the next one.
Double standards when it comes to men and women. I'll give you the example. If an older woman is looking sexy, then we name her with a title called MILF.
MILF.
Yeah? Now that title starts for Mother I'd Like to.
Fuck.
Okay. Why is there not got a FI? Do you see what I'm saying? Because it sounds PD. For a 30 or 40-year-old man to be looking at a 16-year-old girl, it looks wrong. But it's not wrong with a woman who's 40 years old to be looking at a 16 to 17-year-old kid, because she's got a nice, cute title to go with it.
Who said it's not the same?
Yeah, so actually it's not FILF, it's DILF. Why I know that, don't ask me, but it's the dad I'd like to F is the DILF version of the MILF. But none of that is wrong if you're including minors for both men and women. So that's not a double standard. That's not a double standard. That's just bad behavior in general. Like, no adult should be going after any minor in any regards or any way. But the term does apply to both sexes, so I don't really know what he's trying to say there.
Yeah, they do.
No, they don't. If they cheat, it's the guy's problem.
All right, the kid.
I'm not going to burn this girl because she looks very young and she's probably in the hornet's nest of boys right now. But I think that what she's talking about highlights a strong double standard in our society, that when men cheat, it's the man's fault. But when women cheat, guess what? It's also the man's fault. The amount of audacity it takes to place blame on anybody else outside of the cheater is astounding.
So I don't know if that's a societal double standard. I feel like if you are of the mind where it's only the man's fault that they cheat, then yeah, that's a double standard. But in general, it's like, if you cheat, you're the cheater and that's wrong, and you deserve a lot of, I'm gonna say deserve, you shouldn't do that. I was about to say something that was not Christian-like, so don't cheat. If you made a commitment, whether it was in marriage or some sort of verbal response to a partner, maintain that. And if you can't, let them know and walk away. Like, stop doing people dirty. But yeah, cheating, don't, if you're putting any other blame than on anyone that's not the one that's actually doing the action, then you suck as a person. And again, this is the whole thing with victim blaming and a lot of other cases. Like, stop blaming the person who didn't do anything and blame the person who did the action that was actually wrong. Yes.
Alright, here we go again. Now, I know y'all seen this video about a fan jumping up on stage and touching Adam Levine without his consent, right? And I know that happens in concerts, but what's not okay was what is going on in the comments of this video. The fact that people were upset that this man did not want some random woman putting her hands on him, talking about they should cancel him, and if I knew he was like this, like what? Like doesn't want a random ass person touching him? So that's a problem now. Even though we know that if it was a female celebrity, whether it be Nicki Minaj, Dua Lipa, whatever, that they would be trying to put this man under the jail. They would have built a jail just to put this motherfucker under it. This is the hypocrisy I talked about in the last video. Consent and body autonomy does not change depending on what's between your legs. And others are like, well, he's a celebrity. Just because he's a celebrity does not mean you own him because you bought a $25 ticket to his concert. Consent is universal. Stop being hypocritical.
So for that one, yes, absolutely a double standard as far as with, especially when you talk about the whole Me Too movement and sexual harassment and sexual assault. If it's like not okay for the man to do it, it's not okay for you to do it. So stop promoting the behaviors that you're wanting to see change. Maybe that's just a thought. So yeah, that's absolutely a double standard. One thing I will say is not really addressed here, but it's also the perceived threat between men and women, and I don't think that's a double standard. So that's on the same lines of women hitting men versus men hitting women. Like the action in and of itself is horrible. Women should not put their hands on men. Men should not put their hands on women. Keep your hands to yourself. Stop, being violent. Control your anger. Control yourself. Control your emotions. But the perceived threat between a man hitting a woman is perceived as much higher because there is a known biological fact that on average the tendency is that men are stronger, quicker, faster than women. And that's not to say that when women hit men that it's not going to hurt or that it's not going to cause pain, because it absolutely can and does. But that is a difference that is grounded in the differences between men and women. It's not like, again, the action of hitting someone is not a good behavior and it ought not be promoted at all. But like, I understand that there is a difference, and that's not really what this video was on, but I felt I needed to say something on those lines. But we will go ahead and go to the next one. Okay, so I don't know if you were able to read it, but essentially what it said was when everyone, it's like when you got the girl pregnant and everyone rubs her belly and says congratulations, but no one rubs your testicles and says good job. So that's not a double standard. That is a recognition of the difference. A pregnancy is just a little bit more physically taxing. Carrying the pregnancy than getting someone pregnant. It just is what it is. So it's a little bit more taxing on a woman's body to carry a pregnancy than it is for the balls to shoot out semen, I guess. Whatever. So no, not a double standard. I get that it was a joke. That was funny. So it is a bit of a double standard, I will say there, but I'll also say that, again, if we're going to look at the differences between men and women, on average, I think women are like 5'3", 5'4", but on average, men are like 5'9", 5'10", 5'9". So if you're looking at just height in general, it's like men are going to always be taller than women. Not always, that's always average, but men are on average are going to be taller than the average woman. So there's always going to be that height difference. I think, again, being 5'9" is just that. Again, I would say it's a double standard. Just if you're going to look at it on the averages, but most men. I'm just kind of saying this. I don't know what most men think, but I think most men don't typically care how short a woman is. I think for most men they kind of stop at like 4'11", 5 foot and up as far as with how short they'll go. And there tends to be a stigma of how tall a woman is as far as with how because most people in general want the dynamic where you have the tall man, shorter woman. That's just typically how it goes. But I know the reverse dynamic of a taller woman and a shorter man. I mean, that's the whole like She-Hulk meme phrase that's going on. So it's like whatever. But yeah, so it is a bit of a double standard, but also understanding that in general women are going to be shorter than men are. If she's 5'1" and he's 5'9", I think that's, for me, that's a reasonable height difference as far as for her to feel like she's, you know, small and protected by her man, whatever. But continue.
But I keep doing these damn videos showing the double standard of what would happen to men if the situation was reversed, and people ain't hearing it. So I got this one, and I'm gonna try a different approach, all right? All right, here it goes. Take this video of this man just sitting here by himself at a bar on a stool, minding his own business, when he gets touched, groped, whatever you want to call it, by a random woman without his consent. Take that man and sub in your boyfriend, your husband, your dad, your brother. Are we overreacting now? Are we getting the picture now? Is he doing too much? You let me know if subbing in these other people in your life for this man, if you would have the same type of thought. That's all I'm saying. And for you who said it would change, yeah, I thought so.
So yeah, so again, when it comes to law, we all ought to be equal under the law. I think Lady Justice or whatever, Lady Justice is blind, something like that. So it's like, it doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter who you are. These actions are irreprehensible. Don't do them. We don't like it. So stop. So if we're going to make touching one another, groping, sexual harassment, sexual assault an issue that goes for both people, and it doesn't matter what sex you are, if we're going to say that this is an action that we do not like and we don't want it to be promoted, don't do the action you don't want promoted. And again, it's like that the dynamic is it's irrelevant. Whether it's man on man, woman on woman, man on woman, woman on man, doesn't matter. The behavior itself is what we don't want. So, yeah.
You give an ugly guy a chance, he thinks he rules the world. I swear to God.
Oh, look, 2 cents. Coming from somebody who is afraid to be body shamed by the public, she's not afraid to ugly shame people. But here's my take on pretty women giving ugly guys a chance. We don't think that we rule the world when we're given a chance. We feel on top of the world because we're given a chance finally. A good-looking guy is going to do whatever he wants because he believes he can get away with anything he wants, because if anything goes wrong, he can just move on to the next girl that thinks that he's handsome. But an ugly guy or an average-looking guy will do whatever he can to make that girl happy, because these chances don't fall into their lap all the time. They don't have a bunch of notches in their belt like the handsome guy does, who treats women like shit. So don't take it out on the guy who wasn't blessed with dashing good looks because he feels on top of the world anytime he's with you. Enjoy the good for once.
So the only thing I would say with that, again, it's like, men, it is not your job to make your woman happy. Like, you can't control her emotions like that. You can't, like, and if you're trying to do that, you will forever fail. She will never be happy. She will never be happy if you're trying to make her, like if you think that you are the sole person that can make your significant other happy. Like, I say this as someone who is single and I've only had like one real boyfriend, so it's like, who am I to really say? But it's like, to understand emotions, like, she can only control her own emotions. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't put someone else's emotions as your own responsibility. You know what I mean? You could try, but you won't be very successful in the long run, because she has to realize that it's not like that's not your responsibility. That's the whole issue with freaking Will Smith and Jada Pinkett. Like, do you want that kind of relationship? I don't think so. I mean, if you do, then maybe you do. Other thing with that, as far as with attractiveness, and I don't know, I'm not sure if I would say that's a double standard. I mean I disagree with Billie Eilish, but in terms of I think men can get away with being unattractive, like facially unattractive, a little bit more than women can. And I think that's just the societal norms of beauty standards that are pressed on women. And I mean, like, the whole makeup industry is a testament to that. And the fact that up until 5 years ago, it's been mainly geared towards women to make themselves look more physically attractive. So I'm not too sold on that being a double standard. Again, I don't agree with Billie Eilish as far as, like, giving an ugly guy a chance and he thinks he rules the world. It's all about character, not as much about looks. So I don't know. Do you agree with my assessments? I'm not really sure if I was super definitive on any one particular video, but do you agree with my assessments on which ones were double standards and which ones weren't? I don't know, because I'm just an amateur, so I'm prone to get things wrong. But let me know what you think in the comment section. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.